Hi there, this is Dr. Everybody. Talk to you about Project 3. And in this project, what we're going to do is we are going to use the Google API to get real-time data off the internet to do currency conversions. So, suppose, what's 100 US dollars worth in euros? And we're not looking for it at some other time except for right now. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to use a library, and we're going to make a call to the Google API, and that will return us the result converting 100 US dollars to euros according to the conversion that's currency conversion right now. I'll talk about it a little more on later, but this actually turns out to be a little bit of a problem for testing because when you run your tests, the currency conversion might have changed between when we created the test and you're running it. So in this particular project, if you're off by only the least significant digit, that's probably what happened. And we're going to take that into account. If you're off by more than that, then there's something else going on. But we're not doing anything except rounding that value. So that shouldn't tend to be much of a problem. So let's take a look at this project and what there is that, sort of the pieces of this that you need to work on. One of the things that you'll see is that since we're getting values off the internet, we're going to be dealing with a URL, and that URL. Let me plug it into my program here. I'll just call it URL, and we have to put quotes around it because this is a string. And if we look in this project, it tells us what we need to do. First of all, we need to import URL lib.request, so we better do that. Imports go at the top. And what do we do with that? Well, we're going to get a response, and this is the call to out on the internet using so we're going to use this URL string and pass it into this request. It gets us a response. We can't read that response, but there is a yet another function that will take that response and convert it into a string. And so let's print that string. And you will see that this string is kind of ugly, like really ugly. But buried in there someplace is the fact that the result comes out to be 81.420 euros. Okay, and that's because what we did was we took, if I go back to the URL, amount of 100 from US dollars converted to euros. So those are the three things that are important. The 100, those are dollars, and the result that comes back in euros, and there's the euros. Notice what comes back is a string. You can see the quote right there, and then at the beginning there is a way back here, way back here is, see how big this thing is? There we go. We got another quote. Right. So that's just a big string, and that's what we're working with now, are strings. And what do you need to do? Well, we see that somewhere near this is the word span. And this thing is called my result. So if I take my result and I find the span string, I get a big number like that. Well, let's save it in something. Let's call it my index. And now if I take my result and I slice it from the index say to the end, I see that I have picked up the end of this here, and in there's my information I want. Okay, and so one of your tasks is I just use span. In fact, we give you some clues as to what you might use. Right? And that so and we see that it ends with a backslash or a slash span. So what you do is you use find and you use slicing to extract out this value and then print it. But that value that you extract, I'm not going to actually extract it here. I'm just going to do this. Is that, oops, little typo there. There we go. I have a value string, and now from that I want to extract two pieces: the number and the type that comes back. Well, actually, I know what's coming back. What's coming back is a euro. So I'm really interested in extracting that that amount. All right, and so at some point, from that string, I need to extract an amount, that amount, and that that's part of your job, is to extract that, and then you need to, of course, that'll be a float. All right, and if I print that, we see, it comes out with, well, that had extra zeros in there, but when we print it, we ask you to print it with just 2 digits of precision. And let's see if we can actually change that. So if I take this amount and make it, let's say, $80, and let's convert to Swedish kroners. So notice how I changed that value, and I changed that value. Now when I run this and I print the value, we see we come out with 641.91.912 kroner, and we're going to want to print that. We're going to want to extract that number and then print it as with 2 digits of precision, and that's part of your challenge. That's called the formatting. So you have a few things that you have to do. One is you have to take this string and get it formatted right. So you need to, you're going to prompt for a value. Suppose the value that I put in is 10, okay, and maybe I'm going to go from euros to Swedish kroners. Right, so one of your tasks is to take the input and build the appropriate string. The next 2 lines are just automatic. You can just copy those. All right, so you build a URL, you use it in these 2 lines, and then you now have a result that's a string. And what do you do with that string? Well, you have to find the values that you're looking in there, and then extract the number and print it. All right, so those are the steps that you go through, and we describe that here. We prompt for a currency that we're going from, and then a target currency. Prompt for an amount. It has to be an integer, and you're going to check on that. Create that URL, and then you get a string back, and we get the value and display that. And then once you can do that for one, put that into a loop. Again, this is like what we did in the last project, and you can go from there. We give you some clues here. So notice that if I have a string, say that's input, and then I have an int that was also input, I can create a new string from that, and we have a quote and a quote to denote a string. And inside that are format specifiers. Okay, so something's going to go here and something's going to go there. What's going to go there? Well, the first one here matches up with the first one there. D for a number. And the second one here matches up with the second one there, again with a D and a number. We're matching up some int here with that guy and some string here with that guy. Notice that this is an int and it goes with the D, and that's a string and it goes with the S. And so that's how you can build a string. What string are we interested in? We're interested in the URL. And so you use this kind of construction to build your URL. And what I would suggest that you do is, as the very first thing on this project, is take as take these 3 lines, make this as your URL, and see if you can input the 3 values that are needed and build the string and print the string out. All right. Do that just as a separate program. That's where you ought to start. Can I take the 3 inputs and construct the URL and print it? Once you know that you're getting the correct URL, then you can go back and you can take the response and the result and actually print the result. So, but build that URL string first, and then go out and get the values from the internet, and then you can go through and you can use find to find values in that string, and then after that you can do some slicing. So it's build a string and then find, and then after that you need to do some slicing to get the values that you need. And remember, these are real-time values, so if you're off in the least significant digit, then it's likely that the currency has changed, and we will fix that up before, as part of the grading in there. So hopefully that gives you some clues on how to start with this, and good luck.